Driving around Wisconsin, you see that the crops are getting close to coming off. We're going to talk about crops today, the grain report, the grain season, with David Rappa, Director of Grain with Allied Cooperative. David, headquartered down in the Tomah area. And David, as we get here into the middle of September, looking around at the corn and the beans, what are the guys and the gals telling you about how their crops look out there and what they're thinking for yields?
Well, we'll start with corn. I think it really depends on where you are in the state, and there's the haves and have-nots. The general trend is if the ground drained very well with the wet spring, they're expecting average to a little bit above average yields. And then on the other side of this coin, you have the ground that doesn't drain very well and holds water, and some of that was prevent planted and some will be harvested, but those are probably below average. But when you put it all together, we're kind of hearing average on corn and soybeans. Most guys are expecting a little bit to average or below average. The wet start kind of, they felt held them back, but they are seeing a lot of pods. But you never really can judge a soybean crop till you get a combine in the field. So.
Oh, that's for sure. And of course, August wasn't exactly the best for the beans, but as they drop their leaves and the color changes, it's not that far away. When do you expect full speed ahead down your way in Tomah?
I would expect about, with the heat in August, kind of killed some of these fields off prematurely. In about 2 to 3 weeks, we should see the early guys get going on combining soybeans, and then probably that first week of October, I'd expect us to be full-fledged harvest moving pretty good.
And everybody, of course, gets excited about that. Make sure you harvest safely. But the bottom line, David, as you know, because being director of grain, you look at prices every day. Have you got something for us to be optimistic about, or what kind of guidance are you giving us as far as storing them, contracting ahead? What does it look like? Best opportunity this fall?
Well, the market's giving us a lot of carry in the market right now, abnormally high, but that's because we have a lot more inventory at this point versus last year. So a marketing strategy is going to be more critical this year than it has in past years. So guys are going to have to look at forward selling grain, and capitalizing on that carry. So, corn, we could probably see some $4 corn if you can, sell in the next summer. And soybean expectations, it's probably in that $9 to $11 range, really depending as we're getting into South America's planting season. And we might get a little bit of a weather rally because they grow about, 2/3 of the world's production down there. So if we're looking for a story for grains, it's South American weather, and if they get hot and dry, it might give us a little bump and some marketing opportunities.
I was going to say, checking that weather in South America just the other day, they're having some tremendously hot weather, dry weather to get this crop in. Do you think that's going to give us a bump in either corn or especially soybeans?
Typically we'll see it on soybeans, and then kind of corn will come along for the ride, but we're getting right to their planting time frame, and if they stay hot and dry, they won't really plant until it rains there. So if that, they start getting pushed back on planting, that not only affects the first crop soybeans down there, but they double crop and they go with corn behind it. So there's a story for corn and beans if they stay hot and dry down there.
So the advice to our farmers then, maybe hang out a little bit, see what happens down in South America. Don't be in too big a rush.
I think you gotta, if we do we're going to be a little bit range bound, but when we do hear these stories and see some green days, try to sell on the upside of the range. I don't think we're going to see the big volatile swings we've seen in past years. A rally might be a quarter, so we got to capitalize on those and sell it.
Well, that's a good point. A rally might be a quarter, but again, with a lot of crop in storage, that weighs on that market too a lot, doesn't it? That carryover.
Yeah, this point, we're projected to increase our carryout next year for 2020 or 2025 at this time by an extra 200 million bushels, both on corn and soybeans. So, that's a big change on corn from last year at this time to 2025. That's about 700 million bushel difference. And on soybeans, it's about 300 million bushels. So there's plenty of supply out there. It's a buyer's market right now.
But keep your eye on those markets. There are little windows of opportunity, and if you need some help, call David Rappa down there in Toma, Director of Grain with Allied Cooperative. Hey, David, thanks for the update today. And again, I'm sure you're telling all your producers, be safe in the combines.
Yep, be safe, and you see that equipment running down the road, pay attention so we don't need any accidents this fall, and hope everybody has a safe and plentiful harvest. So.
Well said. David Rappa, Director of Grain of Toma office with Allied Cooperative. I'm Bob Bosold.